Namibia and Sierra Leone are both members of the African Union's Committee of 10 on UN reform, pushing for Africa to have a seat on the Security Council. Sierra Leone chairs the committee, and the two leaders discussed the amendment of the UN Charter, which could see Africa being on the same level as other regions of the world. For years, the Committee of 10 has maintained that the majority of UN's peacekeeping missions are in Africa, and these, among other reasons, require that the continent has a voice on the Security Council with voting powers. Namibia's International Relations and Cooperation Minister, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, shared the renewed discussions between Presidents Geingob and Madabio.
That's why there's a need of democracy and transparency to come into the United Nations, particularly the Security Council that deals with peace matters, so in which Africa needs to be represented properly, both at the level of the permanent members as well as on the non-permanent members, with special reference to the issue of the veto. If you're amending the Charter of the United Nations, there will be a veto. Let also Africa be part of that veto. If the veto will be abolished, then it will be abolished. By then you increase the membership. So as countries that are given that responsibility, is just to say they continue, because the African common position remains valid.
At the bilateral level, Namibia and Sierra Leone want to expand relations, especially in the fields of education and trade.
I'm sure Namibians know that there are so many Namibians who, when they were young, they started in Sierra Leone, including our own Prime Minister, Dr. Sarah Kuwangirwa Madila. And also now that Africa has agreed on the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, that requires now African countries to identify economic areas of cooperation. So the two presidents agree that they have to do that in order for the two countries' people to benefit, and of course Africa in general.
The Namibian delegation also held talks with Ireland's President Michael Higgins on the sidelines of the 74th session of the UN General Assembly. Ireland is bidding for a seat on the UN Security Council for the year 2021-2022, alongside Canada and Norway, all enjoying sound relations with Namibia. However, Minister Nandi-Ndaitwah says the discussions strictly centered on the relations between Namibia and Ireland.
Ireland had a long history with Namibia. I think what links us, which is easily identifiable, is Sean McBride, who was the Council for Namibia, Commission for the Council for Namibia. And now there's even what is called the Sean McBride Fund, which is made specifically to benefit the Namibian students. They are starting with the civilian component, particularly from the Ministry of International Relations and Cooperation, as well as the police. And I'm happy that in the course of this year, 4 Namibian police officers went to Ireland for training. So basically is to strengthen that cooperation.
The meetings are just a series of bilaterals between the Namibian delegation and other world leaders to discuss pertinent issues and multilateralism at the 74th session of the UN General Assembly in New York. Blanche Correses, NBC News.